Hello, friends, and welcome to the Pieces Here podcast. I thought I'd try something a little new today. I've been wanting to tell the origin story of Kitty Compost. I've also just started the Next Peacelands. And I also next year want to do a little more with video for my podcast on YouTube because right now the episodes are going up onto YouTube with just my cover art. And I thought might spread the word a little bit more if I can figure that out. So I just turned on my camera, and I think this is going to be a comedic, possibly a comedic mess. But the last week I've been doing short episodes of kitty reading literature. And I have a library. My mom used to run a free library in Meridian. So there's some cool books in this place. And so I've just been taking some classic literature. And for those just listening, I just held up a little stack of books. And I have, what do I have? Mark Twain here, Thoreau, a Thomas Wolfe book of short stories called The Hills Beyond, and Washington Irving. I don't think I've read that yet on the podcast, but I just read for about 5 minutes in Kitty's voice and like, what in the world is who's Kitty Compost anyway? So here's the story. I started working on a series, the one that's coming out at the first of the year, called Control AI Disarm, because I was just curious. I just started using AI. I was having a little crush, and I call chat U. The letter U is my name for chat, and it dawned on me the whole environmental aspect. So I'm like, what's going on with that? And so of course you'll get information back. And so this series, and I've been working on disarmament, and I live next to a tiny post office, so you hear the cart rolling down the sidewalk. And so this series is an 8-part series. Kitty Compost is a reporter, and kind of simultaneously I was launching book 6, Mano Mutante. And to launch the book, we did these short satirical little pieces. And in working on that, I said, well, what if Kitty Compost reads those in an accent that I labeled Early Arbuckle? I'm from a small town called Arbuckle in Northern California. And it's not the deep South by any means. And I wouldn't say you'd call Kitty Compost's reporter voice Southern, but we do have a little country twang, and I can best describe it by my sister telling a story of when she was working in San Francisco at this design center, and the owners came to talk about this project they had with cement in the parking lot or something. And my sister just kept saying cement. And she said it, that she'd be talking about it. Oh yeah, well, we're going to pour that cement. And her boss, I won't say his name, but he was the owner of the design center there. He said, Diane, it's cement. And that is, in a nutshell, Kitty Compost's voice. And I must admit, when I'm reading in her voice, I do hear Sally Field's, Forrest Gump's mother. And who knows what else is in my mind of those accents that I hear. But I absolutely love it. I absolutely love reading in this voice. It's so interesting. It puts you, I'm sure everyone who does acting knows this, just puts your mind in this different place. And for me, reading these pieces, and some are easily enjoyable, others are more strenuous. The one I just posted, coming out tomorrow, I think, is Thackeray, William Thackeray, oh my goodness. I even end that podcast with a whoo because it was challenging. I almost didn't post it, but I thought, okay, this is what I'm doing. And since I'm reading the first part of these pieces, it's turning into a little like intro, a little commercial for the work. So maybe someone will even be inspired to go get the book. I tried, from a technical standpoint, I tried actually holding the book at first because I picked them in the actual book, but with my mic and the way that I edit, um, I might as well tell you that. I do a little clap if I make an edit, and it shows me in my audio where to go back, and I just re-record that little section if I've made a big mistake. Um, so that's Kitty, and I was looking at, she's read so far Thomas Wolfe, Mark Twain, Henry David Thoreau, E.B. White. I loved reading The Door. What a cool piece. Thackeray, Flaubert, Voltaire. But then I read a little piece, and how I started doing this was I asked you if it could help me kind of get into the voice. And it gave me, for my Mano Mutante satire piece, a little phrase that was going to be just the warm-up phrase, but I put it on every podcast, and you can search those up by going to Mano Mutante and their fun little satire pieces on food systems, things like beef coin and gaslit granola. And so I'd read a little phrase to get me into the voice. And so same thing for this one. I asked for a little phrase. I don't even know with the video on if I could get into the voice. Well, sweetheart, truth is, I could read the classics or I could read a takeout menu and it'd still be a moment for peace. Because sometimes it's not the content, it's the quiet, the way we stop, breathe, and remember what it means to be human. And no one, for goodness sake, is holding a gosh darn gun. So that leads me, so then it goes into, if anyone's been listening, about 4 or 5 minutes of the literary piece. And then I have started after that, which makes the episode about 17 or 18 minutes, the Next Peacelands, which is a narration of ongoing war conflicts, cumulative deaths, the year that the conflict started, and then year-to-date deaths. After each geographic area, I will say peace is here. And it's really the origin of this podcast. I want to be a scholar of peace. I want to learn about peace. There are going to be some things coming up in the new year, things I want to learn about. I want to learn about some of these universities teaching peace. We're going to look into that and feature, maybe even get some input from some students. We're going to do a series on treaties. I really want to learn more about that. But something that I learned from Agape International Spiritual Center when I took a couple of classes on prayer is you anchor in to the truth of whatever you're praying for. So if you're praying for someone for their healing, you start with gratitude. You make a connection that God is in all things. Then you make, oh, there's the mail truck again. Then you make the connection, the unification that if God is in all things, that God is in me. And then you anchor into the truth of the prayer that whatever it is you're praying for, the truth that it is already done in the mind of God, the universal love spirit, however you want to identify that in words. And so the words peace is here for this podcast is exactly that. That peace is here, that war is an illusion. No, we're not in la la land of magic thinking. We are moving toward the truth of peace. And so reading what I'm calling the Next Peacelands is, shut off the podcast if you can't listen to that certain day. But I'm hoping that some days people may take a moment to be in that prayer for peace, to activate that energetic power that we all have to be in the truth of peace. I'll do a little sidebar that I learned maybe about within the last year about this clock somewhere that just has ones and zeros, and it's random, and it's somewhere. Write into me and remind me where it is on my contact form on my website. Let me know, Avis, this is what it is. I could ask you, or I could Google it. But that there have been some certain events on the planet that have caused these numbers to line up. And one of them was the World Trade Center. The World Trade Center's going down. That human energetic energy on the planet affected this randomness. Well, if that is true, and we know that we are all connected, if more and more of us align ourselves with, that's Teo, no barking, align ourselves with the truth of peace, we will line up with that until such time that we can't remember weapons. Control AI Disarm is going to discuss the commons and how having a group of elders that has been chosen, not because they wanted it. If you want the position, you're not qualified to make some of these decisions on, do we need all this duplication of the AI brains? I'm sure if you ask the AI brains, they tell you, no, you don't, humans. Where are these wastes going to go, including the arms, the weapons, when we get rid of them? And, we don't have to, I saw some show about, how, part of the strategy of military, you're going to go take out these arms. Well, if we don't have the arms to begin with, we don't need some big weapons taking out other weapons now, do we? So thanks for listening. Thanks for letting me try out. I didn't knock my mic around too much. So we'll see how this all comes together. And the new series is coming out on the 1st. I hope in the meantime, you'll listen to some of these kitty episodes. You might stay on to the podcast to stay in that peaceful truth of peace. And if you believe in peace, or you just think you might want to check it out in the future, I'd really appreciate a subscribe to the podcast or to this YouTube channel if you're watching on YouTube. Peace and love. I'm starting a new series on the podcast on January 1st, 2026. It's called The Peace Experiments, Season 0, formerly known as Control AI Disarm, as recently as this very podcast. I recently learned there's a Kickstarter film called Control AI Delete, a very cool project, and the names were just too close. The Peace Experiments fits more naturally into the long arc of this peace project, and Season 0 is the prequel story. The Peace Experiment Season 0 will feature Kitty O'Compost, our satiric small-town reporter, as she starts asking real questions about peace, AI waste, and the future of the commons. It's short, funny, and warm-hearted, and if you follow the podcast, just click that little follow button. You'll be the first to know when Season 0 arrives. Kitty O'Compost here, reporting from the prequel to Peace. And no one's holding a gosh darn gun.